Welcome back to Pac-Manufactured, a series all about Pac-Man clones. In this episode we're taking a look at Pac-Man Ring, developed for the PC by Inrio and released in 2014. Now this is an interesting little 3D Pac-Man clone in that it's trying to present you these mazes that wrap around a cylinder, and the whole goal of this is very much sort of obscuring the action a little bit, so that you have to play it a little bit more cautiously, so that you're always reacting very quickly for ghosts that you can't quite see because they're just off screen. I know I've previously said that I don't like that. I much prefer to be able to see the entire map on screen, and so I can play the game strategically, so I can see exactly where all the ghosts are at all time. But this is made up specifically so that you can't see the ghosts all the time. You know, it's always trying to obscure some of the maze, some of the action, whether that's just through scrolling or just by having more of the maze off camera because it has this rotating sort of slant to everything. And I find that interesting. I think that's quite an interesting goal with this one, and I think it is the thing that really makes it stand out. I think it is quite striking, especially as the mazes progress and they start to become full cylinders and you actually have to do, you know, multiple passes so that you can get all of the pellets and clear the stage. I think it is quite unique in that regard, and I honestly think it is quite a successful take on the whole formula, and it is doing something that is largely quite different to most Pac-Man clones. So props for that, I've got to say. There are a few negatives. It has full 8-way movement, which I'm not a big fan of, but it just about gets away with it because your Pac-Man character is so large, you can't really sort of like make a lot of finite movement to make that 8-way movement feel a bit awkward. You're always sort of moving down that corridor and having enough space to move just specifically down that corridor. You don't feel like you're, you know, in a large space moving around in 8 directions and it just feeling a bit wonky and too much, you know, there's too much freedom of movement in that space. I think that's when it really falls down, but thankfully because of the tight corridors, I think it just about gets away with the control issues of having full 8-way movement. I would have much preferred it to just be 4-way movement and you were locked to the corridors like a traditional Pac-Man game, but honestly this is fine, and you soon get used to it. It's pretty manageable. Yeah, basically the way you clear the stages is by just getting all the pellets and moving on. You do have power pills which allow you to eat the ghosts, but that is it. There are no fruit pickups, there are no extra lives. It's very much just get all the pellets, next stage, have another go. And the stages get, you know, progressively more interesting and intricate. And I think, yeah, it's a really interesting package. It's just something a little bit different, and it's generally pretty well executed. The one thing that I do feel really lets the side down is when you die. So the fact that there are no lives means that you get as many tries as you want on any specific stage, but it doesn't save your progress through the stage when you die. So everything resets the moment you die. Like, you have basically one life to clear each map. So yeah, everything resets. All the pellets come back. You have to start from the very beginning of the map. And as the stages progress and the maps get a lot larger and obviously full cylinders, it's not a quick clear on any of the maps, unfortunately. They are quite large stages and they do take a long time to clear. And if you make one silly mistake, that's it. The whole thing resets. You have to start again. And that's a real shame. I think there should have been a live system in place so that you can at least, you know, keep your progress for a few lives so that it doesn't completely reset every time you die. I think it's just a little bit too harsh to have you start maps this large straight from the beginning. That's my main complaint with this, and as a result I do feel like that is the biggest frustration when playing this. It's just like you make one silly little accident and it's like, right, start this massive map again. And yeah, I lose my patience with it, unfortunately. But I do feel like there is something unique here, and definitely one of the better 3D Pac-Man takes that I've seen on the channel. But I can't fully recommend it just because there's just a few things that I would like to have had tweaked. The 8-way movement needs to be gone, and definitely, you know, introduce some lives so that you can continue to have some progress through a stage even when you lose a life. It shouldn't have to reset the entire thing the moment you lose one life. So yeah, an interesting game, definitely worth checking out, but I don't know if I'd fully recommend it because it's just a bit too frustrating with those problems that I just pointed out.